Welcome back everyone, how you going? Today's episode's a bit of an informative one. Big girl has had some wounds from Cape York and that's why I've been a little bit quiet. I've just been working on it, trying to get it sorted, iron out all the kinks. I actually got a couple of products that I'm testing, so I'm trying to do that, plus this other big project that I'm working on that I can't reveal to you guys yet. I'll do a video about it very soon, but yeah, there's a lot going on and that's why I've been a little bit quiet, because I'm kind of everywhere at the moment. So without further ado, let's get into it. What is a GVM? Welcome back everyone. Today's episode is definitely going to be an informative one. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, make sure you hit that like button, because I'm going to bring some informative episodes to carry out the year, as well as a couple other little fun videos that I've got planned. Today's topic, GVM. So there's a few things that I need to cover before we actually hit the topic of GVM and what I have done to my car to help prepare it and put the GVM upgrade in. So first one is curb weight. What is curb weight? Now, like I said, this is all a part of the question of what is GVM. Curb weight is what your car weighs from factory, no one in it. So that's what your curb weight is. No accessories, nothing. Car's empty, stock standard, absolutely stock standard from factory with 10 litres of fuel in it. I don't know why they've done that specifically, but that's just what it is. Okay, so next one is payload. Payload is essentially what your car can carry from factory. This is with no suspension, no suspension upgrades, no nothing like that. Still stock standard, what your car can carry from factory. So again, if you want to know more about your car, you're just going to have to type in your car, click in specs, search it on Google, because there's too many full drives for me to cover and leave a link. So again, payload is what your car can carry. So like for instance, my car, what I can put in the back. So next is ball weight. So ball weight does determine your GVM. So essentially what ball weight is the weight that's on your tow ball. I know that sounds simple, but the way it's measured, and this is what caravans lately have been getting pulled over and getting smashed on, is they put 4 scales under each wheel while you've got your caravan on, and how much your car weighs with the caravan on. So that does affect your GVM. So if you've got a boat or a camper trailer and your suspension isn't handled or equipped, or car isn't able to pull that or carry that weight, you're over, you're uninsured, cops can nail you, and that just puts a dampener on everyone's weekend away. So how we beat that? We beat that with upgrading the GVM. So what GVM is? Gross vehicle mass. So how do you determine your gross vehicle mass? It obviously comes from factory. So for instance, in this demonstration today, we're going to do my car. My car from factory is 2.5 ton. That's with no accessories on it. So that's what we mean when we say GVM. GVM, like I said, is gross vehicle mass, but you got to determine your suspension can actually add weight. Even though you're upgrading the suspension, some of the components can be heavier and heavy duty, so that actually adds weight. Your bull bars, your side steps, the drawers, rooftop tents, awnings, all that sort of stuff adds to your GVM. So for instance, we'll do my car. My car is 3 ton with everything in it as it sits behind us now. That's not fridge loaded, that's not occupants in the car. Those things determine your GVM. So it's definitely a very it's definitely something you guys should be aware of. So like I said, from factory, my GVM is 3.18 ton. So as I was saying, from factory, that car weighs 2.5 ton, and everything in it is 3 ton. So essentially, I can only have 180 kilos in there. I weigh 100 kilos, so I can't technically carry anyone in the car, which I did my old suspension, because that's what I'm going to cover today, the suspension that I've put in my car to do the upgrade of GVM. So I had a Fulcrum 2-inch lift in the car, I had 300 kilo constant load springs, and I have Airbag Man 500 kilo helper airbags. So in saying that, I technically I was allowed to carry extra weight because I had the suspension to deal with that, but it wasn't legal. I didn't have the plate, it wasn't certified, so technically I couldn't have the argument with a copper if I got pulled up and I was overweight. So in saying that, I wasn't legal, so that's why I went the legal option. So what did I do? I went for a 10% GVM upgrade, and I went for a Dobinson kit that they do for the 100 series. So that put my GVM up to 3.6 ton roughly. I'm not going to get down to the nitty gritties. I might put up something in the screen here with the actual weight or actual GVM that my car is. So being that my car sits around 3 ton with everything on it, that gave me an extra, 400 kilos to play with. All up now, I've got an extra 600 kilos to play with to put in the car. That's with everything in it now. So I've got an extra 600 kilos. So that smashes it for occupants, filling the fridge, putting stuff in the back for the kids and all that sort of stuff. So it absolutely smashes it. So definitely, as I wrap this part of the video up, definitely you need to do your research on your specific car of what your GVM is and all that sort of business. Now, there's one little bit of topic that I'm going to cover on right now, but it's obviously the wrap up of what a GVM is. So GCM and GVM are two completely different things. So like we said, GVM on one hand is the weight of your car, GCM is combined weight. So essentially, if you have your car and a caravan, you have the weight of them put together. So for instance, I can't exactly remember what my GCM is, but if you say it as my car's 3 ton, you got a caravan that's 3.5 ton. Essentially, I've got 6.5 ton worth of weight. So now my car is probably has a GCM of 7 ton. So I've literally only got 500 kilos to play with, which you don't, unless you know the weight of what you're towing, it's very risky to be over with your GCM. And in saying all that, to get the upgrade for your GVM, there's 2 ways you can do it. You can do it the way I've done it, which is a 10%, or you can do pre-registration GVM upgrades, which is really only applicable to newer cars. So before you register it, you do a pre-rego and you put in the big GVMs. That's how these guys with the Chop 200s and all that, the 79 series do the big GVMs, is they do it before they buy the car. So it's essentially from factory with these standards of suspension. It's a lot harder to do it after registration. So definitely, if you're buying a new car, get it sorted straight up. It's a lot easier. That way you can be legal. So essentially you can only do a 10%. I think this is in Queensland and other states. I can't tell you. I just did the research for my car in my state. So again, you're gonna have to do a bit of research on what you guys have in your state. Righto, let's get into what suspension I've done. So with the Dobinson suspension upgrade, I'll list everything that I've got. So this is the front side. So for the front, I've got diff drop. I think it's a 1-inch diff drop. So then I've got the IMS shocks in the front. I'll touch on them in a bit later. I got the upper control arms done, all bushing in the front done, and the heavy duty torsion bars to match the Dobinson kit. Now in the rear gets a little bit complicated, and it's quite the setup, and I love it. So in the rear, not all parts are Dobinson, but that's okay because they're just as good quality parts. I had this in there from the last suspension that I have from Fulcrum. I'll touch on that in a little bit later. I have the heavy duty sway bar from Super Pro and the extended links, so that allows me to keep the stability in the back when I'm towing, when I'm turning corners, but it also, with those extended links, I'm allowed to flex like a sick giraffe, as Graham would say. I have superior upper and lower control arms for the rear. The uppers are adjustable. I also have the IMS shocks in the back of the rig and 400 kilo constant load springs in the back, and the Airbag Man 500 kilo helper airbags. that is quite the setup in the back. And I tell you, I have been testing it. That's why I've been a little bit quiet. I've been testing a couple products. That's definitely one of them, because I've been finding lately a lot of, when I'm modifying the V8, it's so hard to get the right information, and no one's putting it out there because everyone's doing the diesel. So that's why I'm making this video, to give you guys who've got the V8 to give you some information and give you some hope that there are good quality products out there for this old girl. Even though she's IFS, she loves to flex, and it's such a different car to drive now. That's the kit explained. So what I want to touch on is why I changed. So I had the Fulcrum. After doing a bit of research, like I said, after Cape York, I knew that I would have been pushing close to that GVM, and knowing that I wasn't legal, and knowing that I wasn't certified, knowing that they were pushing and pushing on these modifications on these full drives in Queensland at the moment, I just didn't want to play that game. Last thing I want to do is have this thing off the road or have a big fine to pay, because that's not fun for anyone. So what I changed, now I had no dramas with the Fulcrum suspension. Nothing broke, everything was sweet. I think over time it sagged a lot. Now I only had it for 30,000 Ks, so in saying that, that's not that long. It's not that long at all. And it sagged a fair bit, which when I put the Dobinson suspension in, from where it sat, it went 2 inches or 2.5 inch all the way around. So that's a big improvement, considering I had a 2-inch lift. So you could say I have a 4-inch lift, but it's not. I reckon I've just gone back to where I was at. So in 30,000 Ks, I had that Fulcrum suspension sag 2 inches, which explains a lot. But like I said, I never had a drama with the product. I'm not putting bad things on the Fulcrum suspension. Like, they are a good product, but for what I have now seen, Dobinson make an even better product. And that's the game. It's whatever you can afford out there. So how does it handle? Handles pretty good. Handles really good. It flexes in the back crazy. It's actually given me a lot of better traction on the track, where usually I would have to bump up to things, but because that RSN can articulate a lot more and it flexes a lot better, I'm not actually having to drive things harder to get over, and I can use slower momentum and look after my car a bit better instead of just smashing it over bumps. I don't have lockers, so that's a big thing. I will eventually get them, but I am just, yeah, they're just another thing you got to buy for the car. There's so many things you got to buy for the car anyway. So where did I get it done? I did it at A2 off-road, so I want to give them a massive shout out. Teal and the team helped me out heaps, and I actually jumped in and helped them install some of the equipment, because I want to know more about the car. So I jumped in and we had a little bit of fun on that day. We were filming and all that sort of business, so I just jumped in and helped them do it. So what's involved in the kit? So some of the products I wanted to talk about is the IMS shocks. Now, I don't know how long these have been out for. They've been out for a while, but they are essentially the next step down from remote res. So they essentially are remote res shocks without the reservoir. So what can happen is, if they fail, you can actually send them away to get rebuilt, and they rebuild the whole shock and send it back to you. Now, the only thing I'm going to say there is, I don't know how that works, because obviously if your part fails, it means you're out of a car. So, or even if something happens and you need to change the setting, because you can essentially change the setting of the shocks to be stiffer or softer. I haven't found that out yet, which I will, and if anyone wants to know, I'll find that information out and give it to you guys. But essentially, you can change the settings of the shock, but you have to send it away. So I don't know if there's an exchange process being done or anything like that, but essentially they're also saying that if their product fails, you can rebuild it and continue to use it, which I think is good. It's just that fact of, if something fails, you got to send it away, and who knows how long that's going to be. So how does the on-road performance go? So the on-road performance goes pretty good. Like, the handling is really good, I have found, but I think it's I found one corner in my town that when I turn, it gives it the tires screech a little bit, but I think that's just because of how high it is now. It sits up way higher, and it's an absolute animal to drive, and I love it. I love it, absolutely love it. That is essentially the video, guys. If you want any more questions answered, drop them in a comment below and I'll answer them as soon as I can. Or if there's anything else you want to know about GVMs or anything like that, hit me up, leave a comment, I'll answer it, I'll get it sorted. I want to give the guys at A2 Off-Road a massive shout out and thank them for letting me film in the day, for the day at their shop and helping me get this sorted for the GVM upgrade. Anyway, that's the video. Peace.
I've been to myself, just me lately. I don't need a lot, no. Just me and the fam, few friends ain't playing, I don't speak a lot. And I can't stop, and I can't stop, and I can't stop, and I can't stop. I'm that cash money.